Following the end of the Second English Civil War, on 30th of January 1649, King Charles I was let out through a window in a banqueting house onto the scaffold that awaited him. It was 1 o'clock in the afternoon when the executioner severed his head with a single blow. The king was dead. The country was now a republic, known as a Commonwealth. The Puritan parliamentarians passed legislation to ban activities deemed immoral. Celebrations of Christmas, Easter, and Whitsuntide, among many others, were listed as illegal. Women were forbidden to wear makeup and jewelry of any kind. Nearly all forms of entertainment had been banned. That, of course, included the long-held tradition we are going to talk about today, the May Day celebrations. Describing as a heathenish vanity generally abused to superstitions and wickedness, maypoles were cut down all over the country in case they should encourage dancing. 11 years later, Charles II was invited to return to be crowned king. The restoration of the monarchy saw the return of entertainment and holiday celebrations. Along with many other traditional events, maypoles and May Day celebrations have returned to the village greens ever since. What are May Day celebrations? Many cultures have unique ways of celebrating this occasion. In this episode, I shall touch on a few traditions still being observed in Britain today. Representing the divine union of Lord and Lady of the Greenwood, maple is perhaps one of the most significant symbols of May Day. First recorded in mid-14th century Wales, but believed to have started in Roman Britain over 2,000 years ago. The traditional pole in the village greens was a living tree, over time replaced with a pole in some areas in the modern era. Traditional colors used for the ribbons are red for the god and white for the goddess. The chosen color varies depending on the preference and tradition of the area. The wreath is made of May flowers and gathered on Bealtaine morning. The pole represents the male principle, while the ribbon and wreath are of the female principle. As the maypole is danced, the ribbons wind around the pole and the wreath lowers, symbolizing a divine marriage, a sacred union of God and goddess, or some say it to symbolize the lengthening of days as summertime is about to start. Celtic societies honor the day as it was rooted in agriculture and the symbolic changing of the seasons. Most modern May Day celebrations date back to ancient spring rites that related to human and crop fertility. Other than maypole dancing, May Day marks the crowning of the mayqueen, mummers play, and parades, Jack in the Green, a green man, bonfires, and so on. That certainly is the case in Britain, where many across the island celebrate in their unique ways. The village of Barwick in Elmet in Yorkshire holds a once every 3-year celebration, said to have one of the tallest maypoles in the United Kingdom, standing 86 feet in height in the heart of the village. The pole will be taken down on Easter Bank Holiday Monday to be cleaned, repaired, and repainted, along with 4 newly made rosette garlands attached. The pole will then be carried by a team of around 100 men to be raised again on the day of the Maypole Festival. The celebration consists of a funfair, procession, and crowning of the May Queen, Morris dancing, singing, and of course, maypole dancing. The event concluded with a climber ascending the maypole to spin the silver fox weather vane. In Clanbridge, Shropshire, onlookers witnessed the Green Man defeat the Ice Queen to ensure summer in the valley. Meanwhile, thousands gather for Helston's Flora Day. Here we see houses and shops in Helston, Cornwall, decorated with greenery and beautiful flower displays to express the spirit of renewal. And bass drum sounds and couples dance down the street from 7 a.m., entering houses and shops to drive out winter darkness and welcome in the warmer season. In Rochester, Kent, a 3-day sweeps festival takes place from 29th of April to 1st of May, jam-packed with traditional music, dancing, folk art and psychic fair. Back in the day, chimney sweeps typically had 1 day off during the year, which was May Day, hence the name of the festival. The Jack in the Green was awoken by dancers and sweeps on May morning, then paraded through the streets. The villages of Millbrook, Kingsand and Corsan in Cornwall celebrate the historic Black Prince Flower Boat Festival. Named after Edward the Black Prince, the first Duke of Cornwall, a flower-decorated boat will be carried through the streets accompanied by town criers, dancers, musicians, and children on May Day. Many dresses in red and white colour scheme, enjoying entertainments such as maypole dancing, the crowning of the new May King and Queen, the young town crier competition, and Morris dancing and storytelling throughout the day. The procession concludes at Corsan Beach, with everyone singing the launching song, where the boat is launched into the sea, symbolizing the welcoming of summer and carrying away the dead of winter. In Oxford, some 16,000 people gather in the city from around 5 a.m. on May Day morning. Many have been out since the night before. Some follow the tradition of going to the woods at midnight to gather boughs, a gesture to bid farewell to winter and welcome in the summer. May morning, as they call it. The event starts at 6 a.m. with the Magdalen College Choir singing the Hymnus Eucharisticus from the top of the 144 feet Magdalen Tower at Oxford University. The 500 years traditions accompanied by prayers for the city of Oxford, led by the Dean of Divinity. When the choir finishes, the bells ring for some 20 minutes. The city then continues the celebration with dancing and music. On the eve of La Bealtaine, people gather in a national monument in Scotland in Calton Hill, Edinburgh, for the annual Fire Festival to mark the beginning of summer and celebrate the fertility of the coming year. Bealtaine, Bealtaine, or La Bealtaine, as the Manx called it, was widely observed throughout Scotland, Ireland, and the Isle of Man back in the Iron Age. Just as Samhain on November the 1st, Imbolc on February the 1st, and Lunasa on August the 1st, and Bealtaine marked the start of the season. Hundreds of volunteers from the Bealtaine Fire Society perform in this modern reinterpretation version of the ancient tradition, said to be the largest of its kind, attended by around 10,000 each year. Onlookers will be surrounded by fire play, acrobatic, dancers, drummers, clowns, musicians, puppeteers, poets, and mysterious creatures. Here we will see the mayqueen ascend from the colonnade with the torchbearers, drummers, and warrior women to meet her consort. they proceed through the fire arch into another world and visit camps of air, earth, water, and fire elements, where they witness the death and resurrection of the consort, for the transition from winter to summer can only happen when a green man is reborn. They will then light a massive bonfire at midnight to announce the official start of summer. Over in St Andrews, students from the oldest university of Scotland gather for the annual event called the Gaudi, a torchlit procession and pier walk in St Andrew. In 1800, a fellow student, John Hannay, rescued members of the crew of the sinking wreckage of the cargo ship Janet the Macduff some 300 meters off the coast of East Sands. To commemorate him, on the eve of May Day every year, students process by candlelight, led by a piper, to the East Sands, where they lay a wreath at the site of the shipwrecks. And come sunrise, on the first day of May, students make their way to East Sands and run into the North Sea to take part in the traditional May dip. The story goes back to 1528, when Patrick Hamilton was branded a heretic and burned at the stake. His initials were marked on the pavement on the spot where he was burned, right outside the entrance of St Salvator's College. It is not unusual to see students and residents alike walking around the letters, for the legend goes, if they step on the initials, they might have fallen victim to the curse and are at risk of failing their exams or degrees. It is said that the May dip is to bring good luck to students in their exams and cleanse any academic sins, and the only cure for the legendary curse of Patrick Hamilton. Back in Edinburgh, you might see people climbing out to Arthur's Seat as early as 4 a.m. to participate in a tradition of collecting May dew. Once an extremely popular event, having only fallen out of favour fairly recently, the ancient rite of washing one's face in the May morning dew is believed to help preserve a youthful complexion and good fortune for the rest of the year. Despite a dwindling number in participants in recent years, the custom is still alive today in many areas of Britain and Ireland. In the Isle of Man, on Bealtaine, May Day Eve, some people still keep the old traditions of gathering yellow flowers, such as primroses, to live on the doorstep. Originally, the Manx people wanted to placate the fairies as they were considered lucky and able to ward off evil influences, hence the use of primroses, as a common belief that the flower belongs to the fae and act as the entrance to the fairy realm. They also make crosses from twigs of rowan and sheep's wool, called crush cairn, to hang at both doorways, tied to the tail of cattle or any other animal in the house to ward off the influence of evil forces. This traditional Manx protective charm is also popular among seafarers. A crush cairn was presented to the crew of the Ordnance Raven in 1979 to protect the vessel on its voyage from Norway to the Isle of Man. Fishermen would place it on their boat to protect them from ill luck. As one of the Celtic nations, Bealtaine was viewed as the last night of winter, also one of the evening's supernatural forces were at their strongest. Fire plays a key role here, just as other nations do. A small number of people still practice a tradition called burn the booch, originally carried out with masses of gorse and being burned all over the island in the evening or Bealtaine. The fire is believed to drive off the witches and fairies who take refuge there after sunset. Nowadays, a small bush is lit and a burning fire and keeps the evil spirits and ill luck away. In Pale, the Bealtaine festival takes place to celebrate the return of summer and the fertility of the land. The event begins with huge fire lit on the hills, followed by torchlight processions and making their way to the beach. There's music, dancing, drumming, and traditional Viking games throughout the evening. A mock battle between the summer and winter queens also takes place. On La Bealtaine, May Day, the village of Creeknish celebrates the return of summer with Manx music, dancing, storytelling, and traditional craft. These are of course just a few examples of the present-day May Day celebration, with many more taking place all over the British Isles. Although some of these were revived during the 19th and 20th century, rather than being ancient survivors, I, for one, am grateful for the effort of keeping the community spirit alive. As Gustav Mahler once said, tradition is not the worship of ashes, but the preservation of fire. Thank you for listening. May the warmth of the sun and the fresh breeze of May greet you with a warm hello.